influence is not always about, oh, it has to be a New York Times bestseller. I'm not overly attached to that. What matters to me is that I publish a book, that when the readers are reading it, there's something in there that touches their life. And that's what I'm interested in. To me, that's success when it comes to influence.
Welcome to the Find Your Influence podcast. This episode, proudly sponsored by the Guinea Group of Companies, an organisation that helps leaders upgrade their mindset, upskill their leadership, and uplift their teams. If you would like the opportunity to sponsor an episode of our podcast, please reach out to the team at the Guinea Group, theguineagroup.com.au, the team at theguineagroup.com.au. Can't wait to hear from you. And if you would like to be a podcast guest, click on the information sheet that is available on the podcast page. For all of our listeners and viewers, we have got the amazing, the outstanding author, we'll call Emily Gower, all the way from Brisbane, Queensland, inspirational author, professional speaker, publishing mentor, which I need to talk to Emily about. Prolific Australian author, speaker, and mentor with a strong focus on personal growth, purpose-driven living, and helping others share their message. Founder of Gower International Publishing, otherwise known as AKA GIP, through which he offers writing, publishing, and speaking support. Authored more than 10 books.
Correct.
Your fingers must be burnt out, are they?
No, I just have RSI.
or can we use AI these days, or are you a proponent of you still got to do it on
I think you already know the answer to that question.
I know, right?
I like to use my brain, believe it or not.
I know. And for anyone that didn't see this earlier,
got to use the brain.
One we prepared earlier, and you got to use the prefrontal cortex, which is right there. And you got to use both lobes. People say you're left or right brained. I always say you're both brained.
Correct.
And it is a myth that you use, or you lean into one or more, depending on one or the other, depending on what you're solving at the time. Age 19, Emily experienced a major personal challenge. That must have been tough. In 2007, launched a book writing business. Like, is there any stopping you? I think I'll stop reading because I'm going to let you tell this. Emily, what happens at the age of 19 that gave you this moment in time that you've sort of, obviously turned your pain into your purpose, which is what it sounds like.
Yes.
What, if you don't mind sharing with your audience, I'm sure you have on stage before, what was the tragedy?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was very bright and very smart at school, which is not really overly surprising. I'm drawn to like words, writing, so a lot of school actually came quite easily for me. But when I left school, I didn't have the greatest confidence in the world. I don't think that high school is the best building ground for self-worth and confidence for a lot of people. I had a lot of like social rejection. I was smart but not cool, believe it or not. So I had a hard time socially at school, and so that's why I started writing actually when I was a teenager. But when I left school, I got really good grades, but I went to university and I was studying a Bachelor of Arts, which I say is the degree you do if you're not quite sure what you're going to do. So it's a bit of filler for some people, I find. But I did 6 months in there. I could have done anything. I could have been a doctor, a lawyer, or I had the grades to do anything. But I was about 6 months in. I was studying philosophy and sociology. And then my head and my heart went in two different directions. I mean, there was a little bit of logic in it because I knew there wasn't really going to be a career path in that for me, but I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I thought about studying psychology. I say I'm part philosopher, part psychologist, and I thought about doing it, and then something in me just said that's not my path in life, so I left halfway through. So that was in 2006, and then I was trying to figure myself out. I sort of flailed a bit, I think is a polite way of saying it. Studied NLP, but by the middle of 2007, I just hit that rock bottom. Like, what am I going to do? So the decision point, I think, and you know what? You hit that moment so many times in business. You don't just hit that once. I think we hit it multiple times, and I almost want to normalize hitting those points where you have to make a decision. And you have to make a decision: am I going to kill this business? Am I going to continue it? Am I going to turn my life around, or am I going to give up on it? And I actually think there's a lot of wisdom in reaching those points, because then you get to make a decision and you come back with renewed vigor and a renewed sense of like, this is what I want to do. And that's essentially what happened for me. So yeah, I did have very bad depression. And then one night in the middle of 2007, I nearly ran my car off the road and had what I would call divine intervention from my heart and soul, just saying, don't you dare, like, this is not your time to go. So that was my life-changing moment of just really quite simply on the deepest level making a decision I'd do whatever it took. So I wanted to try and see if I could live an extraordinary life, and to this day I'm still fulfilling on that promise to my that I made to myself at age 19. So
Whoa. Well, I didn't expect that answer. That's extremely insightful. There you go, podcast over team. There you go. You've just got the gold and that's just
I'm just warming up, Anton. So
I know, I know,
but,
I know.
I mean, it was extremely deep, like an extremely deep time in my life. A lot
Mm.
of things had lost their meaning for me, like relationships and friends, and I had $2.17 in my bank account and no job and no prospect of a job at the time, and, it was a build everything out of nothing moment, and I really do think that's something that a lot of, business owners will appreciate. One of my favorite business authors, Mike Michalowicz, who wrote Profit First and The Pumpkin Plan, he's a fabulous author, and, he said, "Entrepreneurs are magicians because we create something out of nothing and then we help people with it." And I always like that because I think that building the life you want, building the business that can serve people, we're pretty much always creating something out of nothing. So sometimes we need to do that on a personal level and say, "I feel like, I don't know, I don't have it in me," or "Can I really do this?" And yeah, you do. You have it in you, but in that moment, you're basically creating something out of nothing. So you're drawing it from that space in yourself. And that's what happened to me at 19. And I've been to that space of just returning to, making those life-changing decisions, not as severe as that one, but I've made a lot of those decisions over the years. I said I'm in because my heart's telling me what I want to do. So yeah, it's had a lot of that in my life.
So you're listening to your heart, not your brain.
Absolutely. What a concept. I know we were just talking about the brain, but
I
I'm
know.
a firm believer in trusting what's in here and trusting also your instincts and what you feel. Because we can overthink things, especially in business. You can overthink things till the cows come home and never really come up with the right answer. Because I think when you feel it, that's when you know it. So whatever your access is for that, whether it's you're listening to your heart or listening to your gut, some people I know have very strong instincts, so they listen to like it's more. Some people would say it comes from the spleen. It's more an instinct about what to do. But I think we all have that feeling about what is right or what is not right for our life, and it applies to everything: finance, business, food, relationships. So I think it's worth listening to it because if you follow it, it's going to change your life.
Listen
Am I
to
blowing your mind?
yes, absolutely.
You had
Listen.
to know I was deep. I'm a philosopher, sociologist,
As soon as you said that, I thought, oh,
psychologist, writer. Yeah.
I'm in for something here because I just love the history of philosophy because before we had
Mm,
psychology, all we had was philosophy. And the only
yes.
way I can describe philosophers is deep thinkers.
Correct.
And I think, anyone that describes himself like that has done some self work, some
Hmm.
work on self,
Just
which
a
is
little bit.
really, really cool.
Only 20
Uh,
years of it. I'm just getting warmed up.
oh, good, good. Are you a work in progress?
Always.
Oh, no.
I think we're always perfect and also work in progress at the same time. Always. Because the thing is, there's nothing wrong with who you are,
That's right.
but you can also refine who you are. So
That's right.
it's understanding both of those. When you understand you're perfect the way you are, it helps you to work on who you are. But when you work on who you are, you realize you're perfect the way you are. So it's a bit of a loop, but you just on a journey constantly. Yeah.
And I love the podcast, the imperfects.
Yes.
That's calling out the fact that none of us, you know, have got perfection, but at the end of the day, we probably are.
Correct.
So, we're an imperfect, perfect version of ourselves.
We're human and also divine at the same time.
Oh,
Nice
talk me,
line.
talk,
Yeah, that was a
talk me
good one.
through
That was a
that.
quotable.
That was definitely a quotable quote. Talk me through that. We are human and
Yes.
we are divine. Does that mean that we've got this greater power working through us? Is that what you mean by
Correct.
divine?
I believe so. Absolutely. It helps if you allow it to work through you, like your intuition, and we're talking about the feelings that you have, the instincts, the senses, the things you're drawn to. All of that is your higher self trying to work through you. But the human
Fabulous.
self, so the human self only basically sees limitations, and the human self freaks out because the amygdala are in the brain, and it goes into fear, and it freaks out and it worries about how things are going to happen, and it has wounding and emotions and baggage from the
Course.
past, and it's really
Mhm.
delightful, and a body that needs a lot of care. I mean, I think having a body is quite a lot of work, to be honest. So,
That's right.
trying to keep it so it's healthy, but
That's right.
it's quite a lot. But you have your human self, and then you have your higher self, and so your journey as a human being is so interesting because you're constantly moving between your earthly self, that is living in this reality and is dealing with, hot weather and storms and sicknesses and time limitations and constraints in the material world. And then you have your higher self that's trying to come through to guide you on like how to master that. So it's an interesting journey. Some days you go, my body just needs some rest, and you get kind of pulled back into your human self. And then you have other moments where you just have these, call them divine downloads or just guidance that's constantly with us all day long. So it is a very interesting journey if you listen to both. And I think when people are looking for a deeper sense of meaning, they're looking for, how do I maximize my life? How do I influence? How do I increase my business? I think all of that, and even like, how do I become wealthy? How do I raise an amazing family? All of that becomes easier when you let your higher self guide you, whether you call that your higher mind or you call that your soul or your heart, some aspect of you that is transcendent of your conscious thinking brain, which is such a tiny fragment of who we are. But yeah, we get caught in it, right? We go rattle, 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 and we go round and round and round. And then we wonder why we're not getting the answers to those big questions, because they're not going to come from there. You know, it's those moments when you're walking in nature, or you wake up at 3 in the morning and you go bang, and there's this download, right? I call it the cosmic inbox. It's like you get these downloads that are coming from a different part of you. That's how you create amazing life. You follow those.
Have you got like a book of these little quotable quotes? You got
I
like a
just
list.
released my 14th book, so yes, probably. But I haven't really written about this in detail. Yeah, it's a fabulous topic because we want to, like, how do I master my life on earth? People are asking themselves this question. Like, we want to because we have a calling for self-actualization, but how do we master it? Where do we even start?
For everyone out there that doesn't understand the concept of natural
Mhm.
self-actualization, which was obviously brought to our psyche in 1943 in a little white paper developed by a
Maslow's
behavior,
hierarchy.
that's
Hmm.
right, developed by a little behavioralist
Hmm.
who was trying to work out how to get out of treating people like robots in a production era, Frederick Taylorism, to
Hmm.
let's motivate people by helping them be self-actualized. What
Yeah.
does that mean to you? What is
Yeah.
self-actualization?
So I would say, like, if you know the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's actually it's actually a pretty good visual representation of me talking about human self and higher self. That you have your base needs, with like, I have to have food, water, survival. These are these base needs, and then you go into like social belonging. So this is now, it's not the amygdala, which is survival. Now we're going into more the limbic system, which is all emotions. But then you have your prefrontal cortex. You love this. Now we're talking to the higher brain, that is the most, developed part of the brain, that is connected to the universe and infinite potential and the soul. And that's in all of us, that wants to master our human experience and to leave a legacy, and the one that wants to make contribution to the world around us. And that calling for something greater is in all of us. So I think a lot of people actually are sort of living if you imagine the hierarchy flipped upside down, they're so focused on survival that they never ask themselves, what's my purpose? What am I born to do? So I think personally, my reference point for self actualization is, this is what you simply feel that you're born to do. It's your calling on the planet, it's your sense of destiny, it's your true north, it's that that fire in the belly, that that you want to do more with your life, and that this job you're in, or this, I don't know, the way you're running a business or whatever that might be, it's not it. It's the thing that calls us all the way forwards through life, including adversities. So for me, I have a very deep relationship with this. Particularly, my father passed away nearly 4 years ago. Can't believe how fast that 4 years
Would
went.
apologize.
But
Yep.
after he passed, ever since he passed, which is almost like a passing gift on his part, all I can think about is, am I really doing what he raised me to do? Am I really fulfilling what I'm actually here for? That's self-actualization. It's not, oh, how much money can I make, or, what food should I eat? It's what legacy do I want to leave on the planet? Who do I want to be for the people around me? That's influence. It's like, now we're saying who, and I think about that. There's nothing more inspiring for me than thinking about who I want to be in the world, because that guides everything. It guides my decisions in, gosh, everything. Even the way you structure a will or an estate, the relationships you have. For me, that determines everything. You're sitting there with a look of awe on your
I
face.
know. That's right. And my wife says I shouldn't have pauses, doesn't she? My wife listens to all these, Emily, and she says, you get spun out. You stop talking. I said, yeah, I know,
It's
I'm
okay to
processing.
take it in. We can let it linger. It's okay. People can
I
sit in
know.
it.
Unbelievable. So we started at self-actualization. You just summarized that beautifully. What are we going to contribute to the planet? What's the
Yes.
legacy we're going to leave?
Hmm.
and I wrote down, born to do. What am I born to do? Where's the
Yes.
fire? Am I fulfilling what I'm here for? And that
Yes.
came from your dad. What a gift.
Yes.
And then it's, because if you do what you're born to do,
Mhm.
influence has to show up. Like you
Yeah,
can't
it's impossible not to.
not. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
influence is a byproduct of you doing what you're born to do.
Oh,
How's that
yeah.
for a goosebumpy thought?
I like that. It's a
Yes, because
byproduct.
isn't it true that when someone's heart and their because your heart doesn't come online unless it's your purpose. And how do you manifest influence unless your
Yeah.
heart's in what you're doing? It's the
Hold
people who
on.
have a sense of purpose. You feel their heart in what they're doing, and they're not just aiming for the Olympics. It's their whole heart. It's they say it's not what I am doing. It's what I'm born to do. It's who I am. Like you've got a different level of connection with it, and that's where influence comes from. I think
Holy
true
crap.
influence. Yeah.
We're about like, I don't know, 80 or 90 podcasts in.
Hmm.
No one has said that influence is a byproduct of being on purpose. That's
Yeah.
off tap because you cannot, you're right. You
Yeah.
have to have an impact on other humans
Yes.
if you are living the way that, you're born,
You're
you're destined.
authentically hardwired, divinely wired to do. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I discovered this when I was actually 14 is when I was 14 years old when I discovered that my writings could change someone's life. So, when I was 14, going through puberty, a rather tumultuous time hormonally,
Okay.
particularly for women, but also for men. And I was having a really hard time with the overwhelming amount of emotions that were flooding through my whole body. And suddenly it was like, I'm awake, I'm alert. There's a whole other level. And I didn't know what to do with those. And so one night on a Friday night, I remembering that I'm also battling with social, inclusion slash rejection at school and issues with that. I came home on a Friday night and I remember that moment so much, like so clearly. It's like it was yesterday. Sat down on my family computer because back then, no iPhones. I'm so glad I didn't grow up with phones like that. But sat down on the family computer that didn't go on the internet, none of the none of that, didn't log on. I just opened a Word document and I started typing and I wrote a piece of poetry. And I started using poetry as my way of expressing my emotions, or it was like therapy for me. And I wrote in that next year several, like 140 of them, or something like that, and or maybe 170. I just was fluent in them and prolific a poet at age 14. And I packaged up a bunch of them and I printed them out and I gave them out to my friends. And one of my girlfriends, her name was Naomi, said to me one day, she said, "I've been reading your poetry at nighttime." She said, "And it really helps me." And that was the moment I got it. That was the moment that 14-year-old Emily figured out I have something in me that could seriously help someone else in their life. And I think that's the moment I truly found my calling. I mean, I want to do that with my life because what moved me in the writing process now is moving someone else after I've written it. And it was one of the most beautiful moments of my whole life. So I think my career really started that day. I think that was the time when it started. And that again is that I was having influence by doing what I felt naturally called and moved to do. And I think we forget that because we do. We get into, especially if you've had, I don't know, tons of business mentors, you get all these opinions and all this noise from the outside. And hang on a second, just shush for a moment. What do I feel? What direction do I want to take my business and career in? What do I feel like I was born to do? Am I aligned with that? Because until you're aligned with that, until what you're offering, what you're doing, what you're speaking about, and what you're writing about, until that's aligned with who you really are, I think you're going to limit your influence. And the moment you get it and it's authentic, that's when you have that, spiritual vibe and all the vibes go out. People who are really your people, they start to feel that because they're resonating with the most powerful part of you, which is not here. It's here. It's in the soul. It's in the heart. So that's certainly been my experience. And one of the two of the biggest compliments and acknowledgements I received over the years of my career, which I just celebrated the 12th birthday of my company yesterday, which means I'm almost, what is that? Almost 18, 19 years in business now, which is crazy. I just started out really young. And the two comments I've received the most is that I'm authentic and that I'm inspiring. And I think I'm inspiring because I'm authentic. And I'm authentic because I just don't know any other way to live. I don't want to go through life trying to be a second-rate version of somebody else. I want to be the first-rate version of myself.
Wow.
Mm.
First-rate version of
It's
me.
it's the greatest gift. Like if you show up fully in the world as Anton, and your beautiful wife shows up as she's intended to be, in this world. That is how you make your difference. That's how you create a life of flow.
Flow. I've got too much to write down.
I'm
Thank you
making you
so
write a
much.
book.
I know,
I've
right?
written enough of them. It's your turn now.
Well, I'm probably the same. I'm up to about 8 now too. So
Good. I love that.
that's that was why you were such a lady that I want to talk. That's one of the
Oh, I
latest
love
ones.
the cover. Nice. Amazing.
I know,
Nailed it.
right? Yeah,
Perfect.
very simple, but
Good stuff.
of course. And luckily enough, and this is just
Mhm.
tooting that horn, but just for a moment, it was nationally recognised recently with the book award. That was another one.
Congratulations. That's fabulous. I like your covers. Nice and clean and crisp.
Thank you. Exactly right. No, and I don't believe you have to have yourself on the cover because it's not about you.
No.
Like you should be writing. I think you write for you, but I
Mm.
think you got to have your audience in mind too, to a degree. You've
Correct.
got to sort of be
Yeah, I would
giving.
say
So,
this is the publisher hat, from doing so many years of publishing, but
yeah,
I say there's three boxes you tick. One is you need to satisfy yourself as the author. So you need to feel like, oh, this book is authentic for me and I've communicated my message. Then you need to think about the reader and how the reader's going to respond to it. And then the publisher hat is kind of like, will it sell? But if you tick off
mm,
yourself and the reader, then obviously it'll take care of the third
mm.
one.
Wow. So for our audience out there,
Hmm.
now talking about influence, yeah.
Yes.
So we do public speaking training.
Hmm.
Now the most common thing. Well, okay. You'll know the answer to this question. You got a room of public speakers, and I say, right, or want to be public speakers, and I say,
Hmm.
can you get up and tell your story? What's the first thing they say? I don't,
Well,
have, I don't have a story.
yeah, they say I
Okay,
don't have a story, or they'll say they don't even know where to start. I don't know what part to pick or what order they to tell it. What part of my story do you want? There's a huge thing. Yeah, they're overwhelmed by that.
that's right. Whereas someone like you have thought about it, philosophized on this for a while, and you can clearly articulate the day that you started, where it all came from.
Yes.
Your story is a beautiful journey of
Mm,
depression, and for even 14 years old,
mm,
no one would have that origin point.
yes.
Now, here's the thing. I think storytelling is important, and you help people tell their stories
Mm.
publishing. Have you got what's the, from an influence perspective, what's the proudest moment as a publisher? Who have you published that's gone nuts that you just go, you know what,
Hmm.
I'm proud of that work?
Um, this is going to sound very, I don't know, feminine and inclusive, but I'm proud of
Beautiful.
every single author I've
Oh,
published because
I know.
I genuinely am. I think that the courage to share stories,
Nice.
doesn't always come easily. So I've published,
Love
I
it.
think to date, I've helped 104 clients publish.
Stop
So that's
it.
amazing. It's a lot of clients and published a lot of books in a lot of different genres, predominantly self-development and spirituality, which probably won't shock you because that's what I write about. But
I
also
love
business books, and I've also helped people write their story, publish their memoirs. I have a client right now. Her name is Charlie Hovenden, and Charlie, we call her Charlie H for short. And Charlie was diagnosed with MS when she was in her late 20s. And then 3.5 years ago, her husband just dropped dead in front of her one day. Like, if you can imagine I can't even imagine the heartache and the difficulty of that experience. And her story is about to publish. So, and I know how big that is for her to tell her story. And I've also published, helped clients publish books where both of their parents had committed suicide at different points. I can't even imagine processing that. Another one of my clients, Heather, her son was born with osteogenesis imperfecta, which most people don't know. It's actually brittle bones. So if you wrapped him over the wrist with a ruler, it would break his wrist. And he had hundreds of breaks in his bones in his lifetime, and he died at age 54. She was 81 when we published her book. So I'm proud of all of them because I think that the courage to share their story is it's seriously an extraordinary thing. It just reminds me of Maya Angelou's quote when she said, "There's no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you." And I feel that so much, and I don't know why. It's like I've got a sign on my head that says, "If you want to go and tell your life story, and you've been through adversity, but you want to inspire others, go and find Emily Gower. Like she'll help you with it." So I've been privileged to be. I've been called a book midwife at many times. The great irony is I never planned to help authors, or that was never part of my. I never saw that coming, and it just happened organically. And I've been doing it nearly, was it 14 years? I edited a manuscript for D. Martini when I was 21. Actually, John D. Martini. I put one of his books together, the first manuscript. Most people don't know that. So, yeah, I edited Inspired Destiny, the very first manuscript of that I created with John in 2009. And, I've just done amazing work with authors, but yeah, I never planned to do it. It just happened organically. So I'm proud of all of them. I mean, John's book sold 20,000 copies in the first week, but he's got a really big established influence already. But I've also seen other clients that published and then their book got picked up by a publisher. And one of my clients, Ralph Anania, he's an amazing businessman, amazing human being. His book got picked up by Morgan James Publishing and got, it's in stores all over America and got displayed on a billboard in Times Square, New York. So I've seen everything. But for me, it's interesting. I think like influence is not always about, oh, it has to be a New York Times bestseller. I'm not overly attached to that. What matters to me is that I publish a book that when the readers are reading it, there's something in there that touches their life. And that's what I'm interested in. To me, that's success when it comes to influence. And I have hundreds of screenshots of people who have inboxed me, messaged me for my books, for my work, for anything, just saying, you really inspired me, or thanking me for what I did, or saying, your book saved my life in the middle of the night. I went, that's why I do what I do, because that's the power of sharing story. And it's the power of sharing not only your story, but what you know and what you feel and your wisdom and your message. It's extraordinarily powerful.
Thank you. I love that. It's such a great answer. Wow. And yeah, I feel like hopefully someone's read my book and had that experience, but I don't know that I've ever got, that level
Mm,
of sort of feedback that you have. So that must be extremely rewarding, and it must be extremely rewarding for your authors. So congratulations
yes,
to you.
thank you. Yeah, it's
That was
amazing. It,
just
it is amazing when they also receive messages like that about their books. It's incredible. I
absolutely,
tell them to grab screenshots, and
you know,
because that's the
and
kind of thing that, throughout the course of your life, when you have a rock bottom moment, or you're struggling, or you're questioning yourself, that's the kind of thing you turn back on and go, yeah, I'm
testimony.
so not done. That's what I'm here for.
This is what I mean. And the testimonials, obviously,
Hmm.
you would think would
Mm,
help them sell their next book, or,
hmm.
for example, testimonials are great. It's great to have case stuff.
Absolutely.
Change
Yeah.
lives, change lives.
Hmm.
Um, so we've talked about, actually, I don't know if we have. Who's your favorite author? Who influenced you
Oh,
from an authorship perspective?
I'm a big fan of Ryan Holiday's work.
Oh,
He's a modern day philosopher and psychologist.
stoic.
Oh, yes. I
Uh,
absolutely I love his not even just the power of the message, but here's the thing,
uh,
for me, a great author is not just great content, it's the way
oh,
they articulate it. Um, and so there's moments when I've read Ryan Holiday's book. So I haven't read all of them. I have read
no,
Perennial Seller. That book
right,
single-handedly changed the way I write books.
right,
Amazing book. And Perennial Seller, I read Courage is Calling. Love that book. Stillness is the Key. I think I read another one. I got partway through Ego is the Enemy. I don't know if I
right.
finished it. It was quite
Okay.
interesting because he writes about inflated egos and wounded egos. And the friend that recommended it to me, I was like, this hurts too much right now. It was probably about 10 years ago. I was like, I can't. He said, wait, it gets really good. So it was really a great book. But I read a few, and I think Obstacle is the Way. So I have read a few of Ryan's books, but his
Nice.
articulation and combined with the depth of what he's saying for me is mind blowing. So I will read Ryan's books and, I'll fist pump in the air because I go, oh, that's so good. The way he's said it. I highlight books. People might be appalled by that, but I do.
No,
And I highlight the
I'm
books
not.
because I
Yes.
want a visceral
You
experience. I'm
do
not a Kindle
it.
reader. I want to hold it. I want to
No.
smell it. I want to fold the pages back, and and it's, what? If someone would say, oh, you want to destroy it, go, no, this is the ultimate compliment to the author, because I've had readers do that with my books, and I love when they do that with my books.
Yeah.
I go, "Oh my god, you have consumed this." That's what
That's
it's for.
right.
I put work into every word in that book. I
That's
want someone to really enjoy it. So,
and it's funny you should mention that, because I had a coaching client this morning, and he's a beautiful human. He's a Brazilian. I love this guy. And he says he doesn't read to read. He says he studies books.
yes, it's a
And
difference. Mhm.
it's a very, very different
Yes.
approach. And he says,
Yes.
because he's very careful, he's always
Mhm.
got a book going, but he's particular what he picks up, because he's going to study them and really learn from them, and
Yes.
then apply what he's learned, which I think is just an amazing
Yeah.
approach to
Yeah.
reading. Have you heard of Mitch Albom?
I have heard of him, but I have not read any of his books.
Oh, don't thank me now, Emily. Yeah, do not
I will
thank
thank you
me.
later.
Oh,
Okay, duly noted.
surely, have you heard of Tuesdays with Maury? You must have heard
Yes,
of
I have
Tuesdays.
heard of it. Yes.
Right. Well, obviously, that's what put him on the map. And so
Okay.
the 5 people we meet in heaven and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, beautiful.
He seems like a beautiful human and beautiful
I
writer.
love
So
that.
me too. Nice and easy to consume. And I love, you talked about MS before.
Mhm.
Obviously, Maury had ALS. And so spending
Mm,
time with someone, I got into what it must be like to face your mortality one day
mhm,
at a time for the last few years of your life, and being able to philosophize and talk about that.
mm.
And Mitch put that in a book, which was really cool, because, that's the thing about books. To me, they're energy.
Yeah, they are.
Like,
Absolutely.
we put all of our heart and soul into writing these things, and then we hope that energy shows up and flows for other humans, and
Hmm.
it's a beautiful experience, and it's one that I don't take lightly, because I just know how um, I suppose spiritual to a degree book writing is. It's just
Absolutely.
you
Like
know.
you're taking your energy, your heart, your soul, your wisdom, and you're
Mm,
imprinting it onto the page. And then when
mm,
someone else gets that book, they receive that. So they
mm.
travel through time and space. I love that.
And they can never be unwritten. They
No.
can, yeah, never be
It's sort
unwritten.
of a terrifying thought if you think about it.
I know. So you better be careful what you write.
Just be
Like
conscious of it. Make sure it feels authentic and it's aligned. And for me, I
that's
wouldn't write about something that I haven't experienced or felt personally. That's how I
nice.
get so much certainty in my message. I go, I
Nice.
know because I was there, I felt it, witnessed it, and all I can do as an author is be write and share my story, my message in the most honest, authentic way possible. Then I've done my job.
Full budding authors out there.
Yes.
Like it took me a year to write my first one.
Hmm.
It took me 10 hours to write my next one. Because I just sat down and just went.
Yep.
Then I did a compilation. So I just asked
Hmm.
people, give me a chapter in this book. So I've sort of done, and you would have too. You've probably got 14 different ways that you've now learnt how
Yeah. All
to.
the books are different. They all have different personalities. So yeah.
And
Oh.
but strategies too, do you think? Like, or have you got the
To
same
write them,
strategy? Yeah.
I have a pretty similar strategy
Right.
to my planning. So
Okay.
the book idea itself, because whenever I'm coaching authors, and I've done
Mm,
so much of it over the years.
mm,
The first three things I usually say when you're starting a book is you think about your vision. What is the vision for this book? What is the
mm,
vision for your life? Where are you going? What
mm.
is your purpose on the planet? How does this book then fit as part of that? So we want to catch your vision first, because if you don't know why you're doing it, then don't do it. So you want to write it because you want to write it with spirit and energy and intense, like focus and love. So then I would talk then about the idea. What is the book idea? And make sure it's nice and clean, it's nice and simple, it's a great concept. And then we would go into content planning. So now, are we talking parts, chapters, sub chapters? What kind of content goes into that? And I would say 40 to 50% of the work I've done with authors over the years is helping them to organize their content, because
Mm.
they don't know how to do that. They got a million ideas flying around in their head. So just crazy. So once they get that, then they usually find their writing flow. But for my own books and for client books, most of the time we'll follow a very similar process to that. Sometimes clients will get post-it notes out and they go crazy with that. But
Mhm.
generally speaking, the moment I have a book idea, which I am brewing one at the moment, but it won't be
Ruining it.
it'll be a next year project. I'm brewing
Right.
it. I'm either brewing it or I'm writing it. There is no other option in my
There's no
life.
in
This is
between.
no, I'm either researching, brewing, or I'm writing it. That's it. That's the only two
Oh!
modes for me. So I'm brewing over it. So the first thing my mind says is, do I love the idea? Does it feel like it's part of my vision in life? I do check those two boxes. Am I excited by it? Do I have energy for this? And then I'll go into, okay, what's the content on the inside? So I do
Mm.
that unpacking process pretty naturally for myself.
Yeah.
I've just done so much of it. So, but
Of
even if a
course.
client brings me a half-written book, the first thing I'll do is go and do those first three steps, because I need to see the
Uh,
game plan for the book. What's the content? What's the journey it takes the reader on? How is everything
um,
structured? And then we'll proceed from there. And oftentimes
uh,
content needs restructuring. So I don't let authors start unless they've structured something. It's like building a house without a blueprint.
That's right. Be intentional.
Correct. Exactly.
A little bit more
It's a
left to
very
learn.
important part of how you put a great book together. And speaking of Ryan Holiday has the same template for all of his content in all of his books, pretty much. So he does 3 parts. He does a long introduction for each one, and then it's a series of short chapters. And it's a fabulous structure. So I look at that. I mean, at me, I look at that. So when he's saying, oh, I want to write about courage, he's then unpacking that into the 3 main components, and then he unpacks it further. So he's very smart the way he structured his books, which probably no one noticed but me.
I think I better buy one and work
Yes,
out what
do get Courage is Calling. It's a great book.
courage is calling. Done.
Courage is Calling. I actually I've written to Ryan. He does actually write back to you if you email him.
No
I
way.
wrote to Ryan because I thoroughly enjoyed and was very inspired by Florence Nightingale's story.
Oh,
And I think it was in part 2 of the book. I was
okay.
sitting in the cafe with tears running down my face. I was so inspired that I'm going to email him. And I asked myself, why am I so inspired by that story? I think it's because she was female. He writes a lot about Winston Churchill and like men, generals in the army, and he writes a
Oh,
lot about that. Whereas, female readers, sometimes we need a bit of girl vibe. So I
no.
wrote to him and I said, I really love this so much.
Go
I
for
said to
it.
him, I think it's because you told the story of a woman. He also told Margaret Thatcher's story at one point too, and I just love them. And so I said to him, just wanted to give you the feedback to let you know it landed. Absolutely loved that. And if you could do more of it, I would be okay with it. And he wrote back, very stoic response, appreciated the feedback. And he said, I'm always working on getting better. That's very stoic. He was like, cool, got it. He just took it on board. So I really love that. I was just letting him know because I think as an author, when someone really likes something, you want to know about it because then you can say, oh, do I want to do more of that? Because their readership is responding to it. So
Beautiful.
random side note, yes.
No, I love it.
Mhm.
Deb's already buying the book as we speak. So
Good.
she's,
Good.
so
Yeah,
I'll have it
Courage is
here in
Calling Out
probably,
is a beautiful book. Yeah.
we'll have it here in a week or two. So I'm going to
Good,
really
good.
unpack that. And plus,
Christmas reading,
I'm gonna
a holiday reading of some sort.
Japan reading in January.
Fabulous.
And I'm going to ask Deb to reach out because if you're okay with this, I'm going to see if you and I can just start the next book because I've got
Sounds great. Let's do it.
three in mind. So maybe you could help me with
Sounds like fun.
with one or more.
I love it.
Very quickly, we have got
Yes.
3 minutes on the clock, and I'm just not sure whether to ask you this last question.
You can do it. Go on.
All right, cool. Leadership. So we work with leaders all around the globe to help them build psychologically safe, high-performing teams. So we want leaders to come and show up with Care Factor in 2025. There's still some 1900s leaders out there.
Yep.
What does leadership as a concept mean to you as an author?
Yeah, leadership it's deep. It does
Yes.
loop a little bit back to me. I would say that it's definitely related to the influence, purpose, leadership part. But maybe leadership is the manifestation of those two things. Because you don't actually say to yourself, I'm a leader.
No.
It's actually other people that acknowledge you as that, if that makes sense. Because you don't go, oh, I'm going to lead. I'm like, well, that's a bit arrogant. Well, you probably are. But it's when you're following your path of purpose, you're doing your inspired work, you're growing your business, your career in the direction you feel called to. Leadership happens as a byproduct of that. Because if you do that, the likelihood is you will rise up in leadership, whether that means you're singing songs on a stage, that's influence and leadership.
Correct.
Or you're writing a book and you're teaching concepts, or you're running a program. So I think maybe leadership for me is actually more of a verb than anything else. It's a doing word.
It's a doing
verb. It's a doing word. So leadership is always in motion, and your leadership changes from day to day, and you get different levels of it and different projects that different, bring it out of you, or different roles that bring it out of you. So I think it's a fluctuating, organic, ever-growing thing that is a manifestation of you doing what you are here to do. And I've done that in moments when I really followed my heart, my leadership skyrocketed, and other moments where perhaps I was a little out of my flow, I was doing too much admin in business or whatever. My leadership kind of, the light either gets brighter or it gets dimmer. So the more I go towards where my flow is and do what I love, my leadership magnifies. So I think there's a lot to unpack in that, but that for me is leadership is when someone's doing what they absolutely love to do. They have a value on serving other people and adding value, because you can do what you love in the privacy of your own home and never share it with anyone. So I say leadership is the manifestation of that. You've got to allow people to experience your gifts and to receive your message. Allow yourself, being the operative phrase.
Allow yourself
to share your gifts. And sometimes you've got to push yourself to do it, because we hold back, don't we, sometimes?
And that's why
getting out of our own way is crucially important.
Courage is calling.
You got it. Yes. Mic drop.
That's right. Boom, boom.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. We just had an amazing guest on to another amazing podcast of Find Your Influence. My name's Anton Guinea, and for 20 years I have been working with, training, coaching and consulting leaders at all levels of organizations. I have coached Gen Z leaders right through to baby boomer leaders. I've done 1,500 one-on-one leadership coaching sessions. My mission on this planet is to help leaders create high-performing and psychologically safe teams. If you want to upgrade your leadership, upskill your teams, or upskill your leadership, please reach out. You can get me at anton@theguineagroup.com.au. Please tune into our next episode. These podcast chats are amazing. The value and the information that you get will help you be more influential and help you be a better leader.